get there. We'll get there, but here we go. Spawning in the top left-hand corner of Golden Aura, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the Red Protoss, the returning military Protoss player, leading the series 1-0. It is Zoun. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Protoss player representing Streamer Zone. It is NightMare. Here we go. Have our PvP, and coming into this, I would have favored NightMare, but something that we have been mentioning, and that something that Zoun has been known for many years as well, is his PvP. It is his best matchup. Also, in his return from the military, it is what he is really thriving in as well. We've seen Zoun defeat Hero, we've seen him defeat NightMare, we've seen him go toe-to-toe with Classic as well. It's been very impressive to see Zoun. He's only been back like what, less than 2 months? Like under 2 months, Zoun has returned, and he has been performing very well in specifically this matchup. Zoun has been struggling elsewhere against Zerg and Terran. That is typically where Zoun does struggle the most. But again, he's still shaking off the rust. He's still kind of finding his footing. Still trying to figure out where he is. And PvP has changed the least over time as well. So it makes sense that Zoun, he's able to jump into it a lot easier than some of these other matchups. Oh, also, before I forget, if you're in the chat, you know what time it is. Gamba time. Predictions are open. Place your bets. We are jumping in mid-series. Zoun is 1 game away from winning this series. So, I mean, predictions might be in favor of one instead of the other. I do believe that NightMare can force the ace though. I mean, NightMare is still an amazing player in his own right. His PvP is also very strong and very good. So I do think they can go back and forth. And I would expect an ace match. I'd expect it, but it's up to the players. It is up to the players here. As for now, it is going to be double Adept opener out of NightMare. Double Adept against against Stalker Sentry. Zoun being more macro-oriented. Meanwhile, NightMare going to be more aggressive, more assertive. His goal here is to get into a mineral line, is to get some economic damage done, and to keep Zoun busy back at home. When it comes to game 1, I believe it was on Alcyone, and I think it was more of a standard back and forth, but I'm not too certain. We weren't able to catch most of it, as it was happening at the same time as our own series. Happening at the same time. Adepts, they do reveal themselves. They have to come back to focus on the pylon. The pylon did complete, actually, so that's going to be a big delay on the expansion of NightMare. Meanwhile, Zoun back at home, taking the Nexus. He is freely expanding, taking his own Nexus, going for a Stargate opener, going for Oracle Harass. Bold move out of Zoun. We'll see if he can get some damage done with this. Again, 2 Oracles can one-shot probes, so we'll see if we do invest into 2 Oracles or just 1. Zoun dives in with Hallucination, and Zoun will confirm the tech of choice, the Twilight Council. Does get eyes on the Twilight Council. Likewise, we do have that first Oracle on the way. Is in production, I believe. NightMare hasn't scouted. Yeah, he hasn't gone into the main, not yet. Adepts say threat in the shade, but there's no way into the main base either. Yeah, NightMare is denied. Now, NightMare will have a faster blink kind of timing here. He will have better stalkers overall, at least for a time. That is true, but look at how late the expansion is. It's still not done, and Zoun is already saturating. He's already saturating. He will be getting ahead in those workers. So you make 2 probes at a time. NightMare reinforcing, catching out the Stalkers. The bait! Oh my god! The bait was real. NightMare luring out the Stalkers, will shut them down, gets 1, and should get both. Very nice catch from NightMare. Takes down 2 Stalkers. Zoun now in a bit of trouble. He does have a shield battery, does have an overcharge, and a force field. Meanwhile, the Oracle gets across the map. Ooh, forces the defensive warp in. Gets 4 probe kills. NightMare was not ready for this. Ay, 6 probe kills. And the Oracle gets away. Meanwhile, Adepts, they come into the shade. Wasn't worth it. Force field knocks them down. Probes pull away. And Zoun, he's all over this. He gets 6 probes across the map. He defends his mineral line. Oh, he has to kill his own shield batteries. That's a little bit less than ideal. But overall, I do favor Zoun. Now, as I mentioned before, there is going to be a window of opportunity where NightMare has Blink. Blink did just finish. Speaking of, he shuts down the Oracle. And with these Blink Stalkers, NightMare can move out. He can try to pick away at the army. He can bypass the army and dive into the main, hit the third base. NightMare has potential. And he needs to get something done. As NightMare is moving out. Posing a threat to the natural base. Diving towards the third. Gets a shield battery. Not bad. Let's get a shield battery, taking his own third base behind this. Still being active. Still needs more damage. And it looks like he will find a way into the main. The main base is looking exposed. He can go for the pylons. He can go for the mineral lines. He's trying to go for probe damage, but he doesn't actually get much done here. He got one probe? Oh. Yeah, for two Stalkers, not worth it. Nice retarget, or nice target fire there out of Zoun. Does split his shots. And that was a little bit lackluster for NightMare. Still building up there. Something else to bear in mind is that NightMare is focusing on immortal production. Zoun is not. Immortals are on the way. Meanwhile, Zoun going to be taking up instead, working towards charge. And that's going to be the ideal. Getting into a mass charge load composition. NightMare has a choice to make. He could be more defensive and just throw down the Temple Archives and build up Archons as well. We'll see. Oh, as Zoun is skipping Archon production, going straight for the Bay. Zoun, he's rushing into Disruptors. Disruptors on the horizon, and NightMare has no idea, at least for now. With Observer, not bad. Snipes Observer, backs off behind this. Temple Archives on the way, so it is going to be Chargel, Archon, Immortal for NightMare. A very standard mid-game composition from our Blue Protoss player. And again, Zoun is the one taking a risk by skipping Archons and rushing into Disruptors instead. A very bold move out of Zoun. I mean, this is a good way to just get ahead and outscale your opponents, but you are vulnerable until you can get like a solid amount of Disruptors. 3 to 4 Disruptors to zone the army away. First Disruptors in production is being chronoed as we speak. NightMare taking a fourth. Which tells us as well that NightMare, he's not moving out yet. He's still building up. Fourth expansion's on the way. Hallucination dives into the main, gets a full scout. Gets eyes on the lack of gases as well. Again, only 3 gases for NightMare. He's going for a more zealot-heavy composition instead. Without Archons, it's going to come down to the Novas. Zoun, he needs these Novas to connect. As NightMare is taking a supply lead. 3 Immortals move out as well. Zoun not quite in position. He does have 3 Disruptors though. NightMare going for the third. Zoun out of position, he was distracted. But here come the Disruptors. First Nova gets revealed, takes down 1 Zealot. And now NightMare knows. Now he knows what's been going on. Nice force fields, locking down the Zealots. Zoun trading well. Rotating over. Building up more Disruptors. NightMare reinforces with more Zealots instead. A little bit trigger happy there from Zoun, but he does clip the army. Zealots are on the way. Oof. NightMare, he has to be careful here. He's playing with fire. Nova's going off. Again, remember, NightMare, he has an army that can dive with mass zealots, but the longer this game goes on, the better it is for Zoun. He's got so many disruptors. You could argue too many. I would not be opposed to making like 2 Colossus alongside this. You don't see Colossus in PvP too often, but against a heavy gateway composition, they have their place. Like, Colossus are kind of like an alternative to Archons. And because Zoun doesn't have any Archon tech, he doesn't have a Temple Archives, they have their place. Here we go, NightMare rotating around. Now, NightMare still has a chance, even though he's down in supply. If he can catch out these disruptors, if he can somehow get a surround or catch Zoun off guard and out of position, the NightMare, he can still take this. As it often is with disruptors, it's high risk, high reward. Either they connect or they don't. Oh, the Prism! No! War Prism is exposed. Nova goes off. Nice bits. Takes down a handful of Zealots. NightMare has to retreat. Another Nova goes off. Once again, 2 more Zealots go down. You can see NightMare attempting a Zealot counterattack. Ooh, takes a massive Nova to the face! And Novas are popping off. Massive connections. Take down Zealots, take down Stalkers, Immortals as well. Oh my god. Not like this. He takes all the Novas. And Zoun is going to chase him down. NightMare is in trouble, taking too many Novas to the face. Too many balls, Patty. Attempting a Zealot counterattack or a surround, but he runs into reinforcements. Prism, ooh, is targeted. And Zoun, he's just been all over this game. And I mean, how can NightMare engage? And not anymore, he cannot. We spoke earlier, there was a window where Zoun was vulnerable before he hit critical mass of disruptors, but this is critical mass. He's got how many? 6 disruptors. Zones the army back. The main army rotates over towards the fresh mining base. And NightMare just can't engage. He just cannot engage. You can see he's trying to get into his own disruptors, but he's quite far behind. Nexus goes down. NightMare once again trying to go for that Desperation Zealot run by. Nova gets avoided. There's one more Nova. And not anymore. Zoun targets out the disruptor. He's pushing and he's going for the kill. And NightMare, he just cannot keep up. Not with this army, not anymore. Nexus goes down. Zelsei busts into the mineral line. Oof. Massive connections here in the mineral lines as well. And the main army. Zealot Rambai doesn't achieve much either. Plenty of reinforcements back at home. Oof. And NightMare, he's down to 3 bases. Down to, I mean, barely a 3-base economy. As his bases are mining out. Archons and Immortals go down. Only Blink Stalkers remaining. And again, the Blinks are solid here for NightMare, but there's only so much you can do. We dive on the Prism, on the Disruptor once again. Both Disruptors. And again, it looks like NightMare might just barely hold on. He forces the recall, takes down 2 Disruptors, takes down 3 Disruptors. But the only reason why NightMare just held is because there's no War Prism. There's no War Prism. Reinforcements for Zoun, they're taking too long. They're taking a little bit too long to get across the map. But here come the reinforcements. Here comes a massive wave of Protoss. GG gets called, and Zoun will take the series 2-0. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations, Zoun will take the series. Again, Zoun, in his return from the military, it is PvP where he is at his best. We've seen him defeat Hero. I think it was last week he defeated Hero. He's been defeating NightMare, defeating Classic. Like, Zoun has been looking very, very strong, very, very good in the PvP, showing it off once again this week in KSL. GG, well played. Welcome back, Zoun. But as much as we want to praise Zoun for this matchup against NightMare and against all the other top Korean Protoss players, what about the Zergs and the Terrans? Specifically the Zergs, because Zoun advances onto the semifinals where he's going to be facing off against Dark. Well, you don't get much more terrifying than that. Dark, he is the strongest Zerg player in South Korea, and it's going to be quite a challenge here for Zoun. A good challenge as well. You know, this is one of the big reasons why Zoun, he's been playing in Sparkling Tuna Cup, he's been playing in Orsasaurus, or in the Stego Monday Cups and all these online tournaments. The reason for it, it's good practice. It is good practice here. and we'll see how Zoun has adapted and evolved over the past couple of weeks. What I mean by that is that the last time we casted Zoun, I think it was against Shin. I think we casted Zoun versus Shin like 2 weeks ago, and Zoun, he was going for, I remember on Post Youth, he went for a Tempest Rush. Did go for a Tempest Rush on Post Youth, and before that, I think he didn't go Standard, he went Stargate Opener into Glaives. That's it. He went for a Twilight Council before third base, or Stargate into Glaives. Didn't do quite well with that either, so he was struggling a little bit more. But that was a couple of weeks ago. At this point. We'll see how he has grown from there. We shall see. Also, my apologies. It was Zoun not versus Shin. It was Zoun versus Young Yakov. I remember because it was the week of Young Yakov popping off. I remember. Young adult Yakov. Here we go. As we are going to be setting up and getting ready for our next series.